From the land of the free refills and the home of the Coward family, this is a new edition of Casey Ruins America. America Day edition. Did you know, dear Americans, whom I love very much, did you know that the words freedom and liberty don't mean the same thing? They don't. It's true. If they did, they'd be the same word, wouldn't they? In fact, also put on that list the word emancipation. Doesn't exactly mean what you think it does. If it meant freeing the slaves, as you envision freeing the slaves to mean with the Emancipation Proclamation, they would have used the word manumission, not emancipation. Emancipation is when you have a child who's emancipated from, their parents. Cool beans, home slice. But does that mean that the child has freedom? Or do they just have to go into the guardianship of another? More like a conservatorship, don't you think? Regardless of that literal nonsensory, the words liberty and freedom do not mean the same thing. They don't. It's true. Liberty means you have the liberty to choose between these options which we present you with. You don't have actual freedom. If you had actual freedom, you'd be able to install something, or reinvent the place, or, God willing, one day, go back to monarchy. We'll get to that right at the very end, too. There's a point on that. But freedom means freedom. That's it. No explanation necessary. Freedom is pretty much self-explanatory. There is no need to explain that which has no need of explanation, and freedom means freedom. Liberty, however, comes with a couple of caveats, doesn't it? Yes, it does, and that's because your founding fathers are oh, hello, little bunny. Your founding fathers are exactly as I keep describing them to you when I call America a fraud, because it is. And it's because they're just naked and ambitious, ill-designing, malignant men who were rejected from leading this country as dukes by the king, as colonies after the Royal commissioned them, investigated, and determined them too stupid, too shady, or both, and said no. Plus, when you really think about it, why in the world would they ever write in liberty instead of freedom, you might think, if they actually had all the rhetoric of freedom? But they kept writing liberty? Come on, Casey, you must be high. Answer, yes, of course I am, but that's not the point. I'm still correct. And your founding fathers knew exactly what they were doing. If they wanted you to have freedom, they would have mentioned the word freedom in your U.S. Constitution at least once, right? Go look, see if it's in there. It's not. Neither is the word woman, for that matter. But Lord knows that black people are only worth 3/5 of a person. Do you know how much 3/5 of a person is? It's your fingernail. Yes, this one fingernail of mine is a whole black person in the eyes of the U.S. Constitution as compared to one whole of me. It would take 297 black people to equate one white person in the U.S. Constitution. Isn't that fun? It's cool when you do math, isn't it? It's also fun when the U.S. is a fraud, because it is. And so, the words woman and freedom are actually not listed in your U.S. Constitution. But what do you really expect from a group of people who were kicked out of England after they, imposed a republic that nobody wanted for 20 years and literally beheaded the king? They weren't here for, seeking religious freedom. They were here because we kicked them the fuck out of England for being batshit fucking crazy. And England had the good times, the restoration of the monarchy, King Charles II. It was kind of like a precursor to even with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And everyone was... All right, back there we are. Sorry about that. Everyone's like, yeah, we have a king back. But guess what? While we were doing that in England, you were over here burning witches. So, brings me to this. What do you really expect from a country that was founded based upon the predications of a warlike and exclusionary cult that was predicated upon the values of murder, deception, fear, betrayal, genocide, not keeping your promises, scammery, treason, con artistry, fear of foreigners, fear of natives, burning witches, and a crock of bullshit motherfucking excuses to hide the fact that you were actually racking up a pretty big bill with King Philip's War, French and Indian War, and all this other bullshit that you kept getting us, England, over here involved with. Sending troops and money and stuff like that, and saying, hey, eventually, guys, maybe if you're going to start so much shit over here, maybe I want to help foot the bill for it. And you agreed in writing, said, sure, no problem. 20 years later, when we weren't collecting, you eventually said, that's not fair. When we kind of said, hey, guys, remember this bill Remember this bill over here? Well, we need that now. And you said that's not fair, even though you agreed to it in writing, and thus your war began. So your war is not even justifiable. Really, the United States of America is not only a fraud, it's illegal. When you really think about it. That's why I don't really deem it to have that much authority. That's why I look at the word federal. Whenever I see the word federal, by the way, I envision this, a group of chairs. Because in Latin, that's what it means. A bunch of chairs. If you have like a deck in the backyard, and even if you have a big deck, and it has a bunch of chairs on it, congratulations, you have a federal deck. Yeah, it doesn't mean legitimate. It means something that you might find at an IKEA or a Home Depot, along with a bunch of tools, which brings us back to this. Dear Americans, I love you so much. I love the fuck out of you, but would you please live up to your hype? Because there's an actual freedom index in the world, and it rates countries based upon how many laws they have and how many freedoms actual that they have in their population. And America is right at the very lower middle, consistently. Or actually the bottom half sometimes. You actually went down because of your Supreme Court rulings last year, and you're about to go down again because of the affirmative action one. So great job, guys! But yeah, do you know who the freest country in the world is that has actual freedom? Not liberty, but freedom? New Zealand. Do you know what New Zealand is? A monarchy. You hypocritical motherfuckers. And so, congratulations, America, on your not freedom, your shitty liberty. But, hey, you have the freedom to choose or not choose that liberty. So that's kind of like freedom, but not freedom. You only have liberty? So much so that my voice goes up like an octave? But the point is this. Although America has, well, how much time do you have? I'm not sure if I have the director's cut of the Titanic to explain it to you, or perhaps even, about 2.5 good solid weeks nonstop in a filibuster. But it's still the place that, although it's not my homeland, I was born in. And so, oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, and for amber waves of grain. Oh, for purple mountains, majesty above that fruited plain. I'm talking about America, America. God shed his grace on thee. Oh, and crown thy good with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. From sea, just like KC. From sea to shining sea. Happy America Day, Americans.